I have been joined by Elvis Darko, who is the editor of The Finder. Good morning, Elvis.
Morning.
How are you?
Today I'm better than last week.
You look better than last week, and we're so thankful that you made it. It's a brand new month. Are you excited about December?
Excited about December. I think December brings more pressure on everybody, because the month is supposed to be a month of some big celebration.
Some big celebration.
And then
just some
it comes
big
with a whole lot of
money.
Demand. So December actually, especially if you don't get 13 months salary in addition to your salary, that is difficult. It's very difficult.
Okay, we also have with us a man who has been missing in action, and we get to find out where he's been. Lawyer Kwame Jantuah, who is a vice chair of PIAC. Good morning.
Former vice chair.
Vice chair, sorry.
Good
former
morning,
vice chair.
Dziffa. How are you?
Good. Where have you been?
Oh, I traveled small. I was speaking at an oil and gas conference in Guyana.
Okay. How did it go?
It went very well.
Okay, well, we're glad
Telling them the Ghanaian experience and what they should do about their big find of 6 billion barrels.
Wow. Okay. Are you also dreading the month of December, since you have to, or you came back with some liquid, so you don't have the same
Well, it's not a question of liquid. I am happy because from January to November, I'm still alive and I'm breathing. So I pray to God that He sees me to the end of the year. Some didn't make it, so I'm okay.
Thank you.
It's not always a question of money, you know.
Elvis, I hope you're...
Oh, I'm not. I didn't say so. I just said that this particular month, it comes with pressure of money. Whether you like it or not, it comes with pressure. So that's one there.
So we'll take a look at our first story. I'm reading from Citi Newsroom.com, and it says here, Nanado directs withdrawal of MMDCE's election bill from Parliament. President Jantuah Akufo-Addo has ordered the withdrawal of the bill to amend Article 243, Section 1 of the Constitution, which allows the president to appoint metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives. In a national address where he announced the cancellation of the December 17th referendum that was to decide on an amendment of Article 55(3) of the Constitution to enable political parties to participate in local level elections, the president also put a hold on plans that would also allow for the elections of MMDCEs as promised. So I'm going to quote him. He says, "It is with deep regret that I have given instructions to the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development to abort the process and see to the withdrawal of the bills for the amendment of the Constitutions, both in respect of Article 243(1) and Articles 55(3). So, Elvis, let me hear your thoughts on this firstly, because we know that some people were saying vote no, other people were saying vote yes. Two lawyers came out. One said the president has the right to withdraw. Another one said he didn't. The EC has to continue. What do you make of this latest development?
Now, for me, I think the withdrawal is in the right direction based on the fact that there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding of what the issues are, and it seems to have divided an important institution like the National House of Chiefs. And I believe that it is just a lack of understanding of the process and the system. That is why all this thing happened. And I'm happy the president clearly stated that for him and his party, they are for partisanship, and that they will come back with partisanship. I believe that the signal is clear. So for the no campaigners, the message is that if the government is coming back, it's coming back with the same partisanship position. So the no campaigners also have an opportunity to now craft their messages and also educate the public why they think a no vote is what is important. The bottom line of the issue we should understand is that it is out of the work of the Constitutional Review Commission that Ghanaians said that they want to elect their MMDCs. And as a result of that, we sent out people to travel to countries where this thing is done to study and bring a report. And their report indicates that there are countries where the national level, it is partisanship, but at the local level, it's non-partisanship. There are countries also where both local and national are all partisanship. So they came back with their findings and presented their findings to the government. And the current government chose the position that based on their analysis and their understanding of the systems, they believe that partisanship is what is best for us as a people. So they proposed partisanship election of MMDCs. Then they had an agreement with the NDC MPs, not the party, but the NDC MPs in parliament, to go partisanship. Then they went and prepared the bills and sent it to parliament. When the bills hit parliament, then the NDC as a party said for them, their study shows that the thing should not be partisanship. So they overruled the position of their members of parliament. So then there was a problem. Because if not that the NDC has taken that position, the canvassing for a yes vote would have been unanimous on the basis that both NDC and NPP agree.
But the chiefs also had their own concerns.
But what also came out was that even before the NDC changed that position, there were individual Ghanaians who started speaking up in groups who said no, they don't think that a partisanship local level election is good for us at this point in time. So the point is, the fact that it should be partisanship is happening elsewhere, and it is working. The fact that others are saying it should be non-partisanship is also happening in other countries, and it is working. So it's a matter of choices. Both the no and the yes campaign agree that at the national level, we as a country are not practicing democracy the way it should be. And therefore, we have certain challenges we need to address. The argument of the yes campaign is that if you extend to local level, it does not necessarily address the problem or not. And that what we need to do at the national level is completely a different issue. But the no argument says, if we all agree that we have problems at the national level in the practice of this multi-party democracy system, don't, at this point in time, extend it to the local level. Find solutions to problems we are having at the national level. And then when we all agree that we are doing better in the practice of the democratic process, then maybe at that point we can consider the issue of extending it to the local level. So the issues are not that different. We all agree that at the national level, the way we are practicing our democracy, we all agree that we have problems. But the argument here is, if we have problems at national level, how does that mean that we should not extend to the local level? The yes campaign said it does not mean that we shouldn't extend to the local level. But the no campaign says, because of these challenges that we are having at the national level, we hold the view that we don't need to extend that to the local level. And therefore, until we will find real solutions to what is happening at the national level, extending the local level could be very dangerous. And I found something interesting about the Constitutional Review Commission's work, which I think that the public also needs to know. The committee that went out to do the work, in their report, they numbered the report. So if you come to number 53, it said the commission, however, observed that where local elections are held on partisan basis, nomination rules determined and deployed by national parties can serve as impediments to accountability. It also weakens local government systems. 54. So the commission observed that as a result of the corruption in Ghana's body politic, partisan politics in local elections may lead to the erosion of popular support for local assemblies. 55. He said the commission observes that, with concern, that in jurisdictions where political parties play a role in the election at the local level, without clear rules that stipulate the inclusion of certain disadvantaged or minority segments of society, the system may easily engender dominance by majority groups, more powerful social groups, and persons who have enough money to spread around for the purpose of attracting votes. 56. He said the commission observed that the committee of experts which drafted the proposal for the 1992 constitution noted that the non-partisan nature of the district assembly election has the potential to facilitate the mobilization of the people at the local level and is more conducive to consensus formation, factors that are crucial to development efforts at the grassroots level. The commission, 57, the commission further observed that at the consultative assembly, the mode of elections at the local level was one of the topical issues that engaged the minds of the members of the Public Services Commission of the Assembly, Committee of the Assembly, tasked to deliberate on the subject matter of decentralization at the local level. The Assembly ultimately decided to retain a non-partisan local government system as first established in 1998. So the commission that the Constitutional Review Commission that went out, this is what they have written. So in their report, for them, at this point, or at the point that they've done their work, they have advised against partisanship in the local level elections. But then the current government says for them, they do not hold that view. Let's remember that this report was presented to President Mahama. And his position in his white paper was that the government, the president, will nominate 5 people and present them to the Public Services Commission to shortlist it to 3 for people to vote on. So it means that the people who are going to stand for the election, by the NDC's position at the time, is that the people should be nominated by the then president and then given to Public Services Commission. So it means that it is the president who determines who stands for a local government election in Ghana by the MMDC. And the public uproar was that, no, we disagree. So for me, withdrawing this at this point in time, giving the various groups that have raised concerns the opportunity to also express their position, especially religious institutions and the traditional rule, which is the House of Chiefs, the government will come back with a partisan position. That is what the president has said. That is what they believe in. They believe that that is the best option for Ghana. As a government, it is their duty to take a position that we believe that this thing that we want to do, if we do it this way, it will be best for Ghana. But because it's an entrenched provision, at the end of the day, 553 will still require a referendum. So I believe that withdrawing is good, given the fact that there was so much divisions and misunderstanding of the issues. Now the government should table its issues properly and say, we stand for partisanship. That is our position.
Thank you.
Then let the no vote also carry out their campaign. Let's go back to the referendum. The winner, we move on in that direction.
Thank you very much. Lawyer Jantuah, how are you? Now, once we've already started the process, can the president come and say, 16 days to referendum to say, I've cancelled it? Because there seem to be division amongst some lawyers if he has the right to do that or not. So can you clarify that for us?
Dziffa, first of all, in the end, it's the people who decide. It's the people who vote to say yes or no. The government is a function of the people. And the government cannot impose their will on the people. And so if the government's position is we want partisan politics in the districts, that is their position. Those who say no will stick to no, and it will go to an election, hopefully, to referendum. And it doesn't mean that because the government wants a yes, they would win. And it doesn't mean because the people want a no, it will win. But the strongest side would win. And for me, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm for no. Now, second, before I come to your question, second, we are referring to the Constitutional Review Commission. Is it legal? It is a legal document today as we sit in Ghana. That review that has been made, has it reviewed the Constitution? It hasn't. So in as much as it is saying what it is saying, money has been spent, nearly $8 million has been spent to do that review. So far, it's no law, because government really hasn't reviewed the Constitution based on that review. So in as much as we quote it, it is neither here nor there because it's not law. For me, Dziffa, I think the election still could have gone on.
Really?
Yes.
Even with the whole division?
Yes.
Okay, how so?
What did the president promise us in their manifesto, the party and the president? Even in his State of the Nation address, the first one he had at the Independence Square. What did he say? That he was for election of MMDCEs. Separate. This bit about the political parties is also separate. So we could have said, let's withhold that one and go ahead and see whether people want MMDCEs to be elected. And have that one and come back to this
so we should
another
have kept
day.
Article 243.
Exactly.
Okay.
And done that one out of the way. Then we know that MMDCEs from 2020 would be elected.
But then isn't that this whole notion that there's hypocrisy as well, because the political parties are currently involved anyway?
It is not overt.
Okay.
It is not overt.
Are you sure?
No, it's not overt.
Okay.
Yes, the political parties are underneath. But what the political parties would do if this thing was legalized would be different from what they are doing now.
But what they are doing now, obviously, if someone is competing with you and they have a political party sponsoring them, do you stand any chance?
Oh, why don't you?
Really?
It's the people who vote you.
Okay.
It's the people, the political party.
So having the weight of a political party behind you.
Here nor there. If the people don't want you, they don't want you.
Okay.
If the people say, Dziffa, Kwame Jantuah is a CPP boy, you are an independent, we prefer you to Kwame Jantuah. Don't vote for you.
But why are political parties getting involved in a process that they have no business being involved in?
Well, they want to take control of everything, don't they? Both the national and the
So
district.
if he had kept the Article 2431, nothing would have even made any difference, because they would still be involved. It's just not it's not an issue of NDC and NPP.
Right now, who proposes or nominates the names? The president has the power,
Yeah.
and that is what we're trying to do away with. So for me, that could have gone on.
Okay, so now we're right back to square one.
Yes, we're right back to square one. Now, with regards to whether the president had the right or didn't have the right, who proposes? This is the Minister of Local Government, who proposes to Parliament. And the person who proposes, what? Can withdraw. If you look at Article 290, the operative word in Article 290 is shall. Parliament shall. The the Council of State shall. It shall be gazetted. Everything is shall. When it comes to the submission, it doesn't use the word shall. So yes, for me, I think the president has the right to do what he has done. Whether the people would agree with his decision is another case.
But you definitely think we could have kept...
I definitely think we could have kept 2431 and gone ahead with it. So
we will vote for these MMDCs and not have the president appoint.
Exactly.
What's the issue with president appointing them?
Well, it's the reason why we want to change it, isn't it? Because as Elvis rightly said, they choose, some are eliminated, and then those are put forward. What, for me, and I continue to say this, looking at the history of our politics from 92 till date, I think we've got to a stage in this country where the party that wins the executive should not win parliament.
Why?
Look at what happens. Look at the wholesale passing of the executive's mandates. What really? Are we experiencing or are we practicing separation of powers in this country today? If that is the system that we've adopted, where a certain number of ministers are taken from the executive. How does separation of powers work?
So the executive is so powerful.
And that is the reason why people are dead against partisan politics going to the districts.
Yeah.
That's the reason why.
Okay.
For me, we have to adopt the Constitutional Review Commission. And some of the things they put in there was that parliamentarians should not be given the opportunity to serve on the executive.
So that they can really focus on being parliamentarians.
And take the executive on the way it's being practiced in America, because that is where we are taking it from. So,
we're a sovereign country, so we can do what is relevant to our context.
So
right?
far as I'm concerned, all this way of adoption of other people's types of governance, for me, it's not working for Africa. Not even Ghana. It's not working for Africa. We should devise our own. We had a system in place before we were colonized. We should bring that in place and work in such a way that it suits us. Because today, the kind of governance we have does not really suit us. Because you see it, wholesale. My party is in power. Whip system, whip everybody in line, whether it is good or bad, they vote for it. And who suffers? The people suffer.
Okay, so we'll go for a quick break. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. I still have with me Elvis Darko, who's editor of The Finder, and lawyer Jantuah, who's the former vice chair of PIAC. Do not go anywhere. Up next, we'll talk about the new Citi notes. I think you've seen it on social media, some 100 Citi notes and 200 Citi notes. Does that mean we're going to go through an inflation or not? And up next, we'll also look at what went on at GRA yesterday. So what went on at GRA yesterday with the fires. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, don't forget that if you want us to hear from you, use the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550-585-832. Take a look at our second story here, and I'm reading from Newsroom.com. It says, introduction of 100 Ghana Citi, 200 Ghana Citi notes could cause inflation. It's coming from an economist here. So it says here, an economist, Dr. Lord Mensah, has said that the introduction of the 100 Ghana Citi and 200 Ghana Citi denomination notes by the Bank of Ghana may cause inflation. He said prices of goods of lower categories such as water will shoot up as a result of the development. So I'm going to quote him briefly. He says, for me, I think it has the tendency of causing inflation because when you are pricing, you will look at the minimum and what is convenient to handle. And at the end of the day, the lower categories of consumption, like water and others, will start shooting up. The inflation that we have been struggling for is to come down over years. We will it will end up going up again. So he's saying the inflation we've been struggling with to come down over the years will end up going up as a result of this. But a banking consultant does not necessarily agree with that notion. So I'm going to read that story as well. It says here, new Citi notes won't increase inflation. That's coming from a banking consultant. A banking consultant, Nana Otue Champong, does not think the introduction of 100 and 200 Citi notes will contribute to any inflation, as some have suggested. We are not changing prices anyway. If anything at all, the new notes should have positive or, at worst, a neutral effect on inflation, but not increase inflation. So that's what he had to say about that. Elvis, the new notes. Firstly, do we need new notes in the system?
Yeah, I think that if you look at what we have gone through, there is the need for us to have some level of a higher currency.
How? What's the justification?
Economically, read everywhere, they will tell you that it is in a country where the savings rate is very high. Savings rate is very high, and people use less currencies, fiscal cash. Then currencies can be as stable as they are for many years. That's why the dollar and the pound and the gold have been where they are. You don't see them rising for many years. But in a country like Ghana, where the savings rate is very low, you don't have that advantage.
Okay.
And then when there is lack of confidence in the banking system or the financial system, people tend to carry their cash with them rather than keep them in these institutions.
Okay.
If you look at the cleanup in the financial services sector, the impact that's had on people, there is serious issue of confidence, people believing that they should send their money to financial institutions.
But what's the correlation between new notes and me wanting to save my
so
money? So
what it means is that because you're not keeping your money at the financial institution, there is so much what we call excess liquidity. People are carrying so much cash around.
Okay.
And these are lower denominations. So there's always some huge cash system flowing around. And what happens is you may end up having a situation where there's more currency chasing fewer goods in the system. And that could spark inflation issues.
What are your thoughts on this
and
inflation
therefore the higher currency rather helps to possibly tame the possibility of an inflation going up if that higher currency helps to mobilize the excess liquidity in the system. Because inflation simply means there are more cash chasing fewer goods. So if you have higher denomination, you're able to mop up the lower denominations more out of the system, and people's use of cash really comes to a lower level. It's better.
Okay.
The only problem that some of the personnel I have raised is we are making serious efforts to digitize. So if we are saying people carrying bigger denominations, I expect those people rather to be doing more of electronic transactions. so that they should not be really thinking about carrying cash. So how then do we continue with this aggressive agenda of digitization if we are thinking that bigger currencies should come into the system? So for me, the currencies at this point, and you see, last year government released about 2 billion to contractors. This year, next year, because it's an election year, if you look at the budget, the government is going to really release a lot of money. So in terms of cash to circulate in the system, next year, there's going to be a lot of money in the system chasing the very goods that have actually not increased. So the possibility of inflation really, for next year, inflation going up next year, really is at a higher possibility.
And this is the solution to that?
Therefore, possibility. So this is an economic measure to deal with excess liquidity. If you expect or you anticipate excess liquidity, this is one of the measures in every country where the savings rate is low and people have lower confidence in the financial system. As I said, because of the financial sector cleanup, a lot of people now tell that I don't see why I should send my money to any financial institute for safe upkeep.
So shouldn't we rather be focusing on encouraging them to save as opposed to saying, okay, we're going to increase the loans because people don't have
that's what we should be doing. But the problem is that it's going to take you time for people to buy into that idea because they have seen, or some of them are victims of sending money to this institution. Now the monies are locked up, they can't get it. Okay. So you're going to tell that person that have confidence in the same system. It's a difficult thing. There's confidence will rebound, but it's not going to happen within the short term. It will happen in the longer term. Okay. So in the short term, you need something to ensure that you are able to mop up some level of excess liquidity to be able to manage your inflation expectations. Okay. And that is what I suspect is behind the decision for us to have this bigger denomination. So you hear the Bank of Ghana say it will not be dispensed by the ATMs, but people who are into bigger transactions is what they will be giving the money to and all that. So for me, it's a short-term measure. The longer-term measure is for us. People always cite the US dollar, but say the kind of economy they have, the high rate of savings, and the
shouldn't we aspire to that instead of this band-aid solution?
That's what should aspire. That will be a longer term. So in the short term,
this band-aid solution
that is the target. That's why we are focusing so much on digitization. Okay. But you don't get the result in the medium term. Okay. But if you don't get an immediate term, you need to be doing something to make sure that your figures do not get out of hand before you are chasing that. Okay. Because if you begin to have higher inflation, it also becomes maybe a disincentive to get a higher savings rate. So you need to be managing this expectation. And central banks will always come up with some of these policies as medium-term measures while they work on the long-term measures. So for me, it's not something that we should be too much worried about, but we should just see it as a short-term measure to deal with the expectation that next year being election year, there will be more money to spend in the system. Already, we have a banking crisis that has affected the level of confidence, and people do not want to send their money to the bank. So you need some short-term measures to be able to keep some of these things under control whilst you work at the long-term measures.
Thank you. Wow.
Dziffa, why did we do the denomination? How many years ago was that?
That was 2007.
2007.
Yeah, so
12
years ago.
What was the situation there? We were carrying denominations of currency in Ghana must go bags to go everywhere. What's the difference now? What's going to be the difference now? Is even going to make... You see, I'm not an economist. Yeah. Elvis has talked about the economical side of it. Granted. The other side, Ingo. Corruption. Politics.
What's the connection between
buying of votes?
Really?
All these types of things. I can give you 1 200 cedi note. Yeah. I can give you 100 cedi note.
But isn't that a bit of a stretch? Because, I mean, corruption will still go on without needing
and it
bigger
will make
notes.
it easier.
No, but you have to say it's right because even in advance, that's why the euro, they are trying to phase out the 500 euro. Because it fuels what we call illegal transactions, such as money the laundry and co. Because now, if you take 200,
I'll come back to you.
a bond will be 20,000.
That's it.
Okay, so someone can give you a bribe of 20,000. Nobody will.
But why would we go through all of this just because we want to?
Because it's a human institution.
We want to win votes. We want to come back into power. Why are they doing it at this material time? Why?
Because as Elvis said, people need more confidence.
Why didn't they do it when they came into power? Why?
The banking sector crisis has not happened.
For me, really, Dziffa, the way the banking sector crisis was handled, for me, wasn't handled right.
Mm-hmm. So maybe this is a way of correcting it.
Really? As you rightly said, the way of correcting it is to help people invest more, not invest, save more. I felt that the challenges with the banking system could have been ring-fenced. Mm-hmm. The banks left as they are, and ring-fenced and taken care of. But you don't just,
close everything now.
Take everything out. Where people are depending on these banks. And if you realize, the one thing that this banking crisis showed was that Ghanaians believed in their local banks.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them were saving in their local banks, not the international type of banks like the Standard Chartered and the Barclays of this world. And then you come and you take everything away. How will they have confidence in the banking system? Yeah. How? And you've brought higher denominations. It can money laundering, trafficking, all sorts of things.
Do you think we need these new notes?
I don't think so. At this material time, I don't think so. And you see, the thing that is even making me feel they are pulling wool over our eyes is that when you now ask the Bank of Ghana, how much is all this thing costing?
Yeah.
They say that, it's private to the Bank of Ghana. Mm-hmm. The money in the Bank of Ghana, who is the money for? The people at the Bank of Ghana, who are they working for?
So you agree with the Vice Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee that we need to know the cost of
course we need.
Notes.
Isn't it Ghanaian money? Isn't it your taxes? Isn't it everybody's taxes? Mm-hmm. The monies that are in the Bank of Ghana, isn't it from our natural resources? Don't you think we have the right to know how much this thing costs for us to determine whether the right thing has been done?
But it's already out, so what difference would it even make if we know?
We would be able to interrogate it better and ask the question, was it necessary? If this thing cost us nearly, $2 billion? Ghanaians will ask the question, why? Why at this time? Why do we have other pressing issues? Why now? Mm-hmm. And you tell us that, it's private to the Bank of Ghana?
Do you think there's any connection between this and potential inflation or...
let's wait to see. When you consider that in this country, nearly 80% of the goods that we consume here are imported. Mm-hmm. If something goes wrong in the world economic system, it will affect us. Yeah. And I would have thought the Bank of Ghana would come out and not just talk about, it helps carry this, but give us pointers. Tell us, if such a thing happened, this could happen. If such a thing happens, this could happen. But we brought this in because X, Y. For me, the reason they gave doesn't stand water for me. Okay. Because I don't think at this material point we need these notes. I don't think so. And for me, the worst thing for me, I'm a politician, I know it happens. The worst thing for me is that it's going to fuel buying of votes. It will fuel it. No two ways about it. Don't let us...
the government promised that we won't overspend on next year's elections. Right? We are a democracy.
The government will not overspend. Mm-hmm. We understand. Mm-hmm. But the individuals who are standing will overspend.
So then again, we can also tell people to vote on principle and vote on policy and not necessarily go asking for money.
Right now, it is up to Ghanaians to change that mindset.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of months ago, a government official wanted to drop off bags of rice to his people.
Yes, and the people
they rejected
that's why
it.
I'm
so
saying,
more of us can
that's
do that.
why I'm saying, and I'll continue saying it. If it is CPP who wins, the NDC or the MPP should win parliament. If it's the MPP who wins, CPP, MPP or other party should win parliament. So that we have true democracy practice. So that
the executive is too powerful from your perspective.
The president is too powerful to start off with. The executive is too powerful to start off with. And parliament does not have the legs to stand on to do what they have to do. Yeah. If I had my own way, the speaker of parliament would not come from the ruling party. If I had my own way, if we want true democracy to govern in this country, for the people to also be part of it. Look, when you go to other countries, when you go to the UK now, what's happening in the UK now, the people tend to understand what is going on. In Ghana, how many people understand the governance system in this country? Very few. And so when anything is thrown at us, we take it hook, line, and sinker. And sometimes the media tries its best to explain, but how far does it go?
Okay, thank you. We have some messages from you guys, so I'll read that and then we'll continue the show. AU Farouk Tamale North Constituency says, thank you Ghanaians for boldly standing for Ghana. No vote has won, and the GRA fire is unfortunate and must be investigated by an independent body and not a government body. Sami Boache from Asamankese says the decision taken by President Akufo-Addo of calling the referendum off is the greatest move and very laudable. That is the listening president. Now, propaganda twist of NDC is that the no vote has won in 2020. I think we shouldn't play politics with this. I think it's okay. Farouk from Tema says President Akufo-Addo is an unrepentant nationalist and his love for Ghana. Okay, clearly you are a big fan of the president. The office that got a GRA, the fire that got a GRA office at Circle is unfortunate, and we expect our various investigative security institutions to get to the bottom of the fire. Yes, I completely agree with you. And speaking of the fire, I think we should just transition now to our final topic here, and it has to do with the GRA fire issue yesterday. So I'm reading from page 3 of the Daily Graphic, and it says here, fire guts GRA office annex. Fire gutted the head office annex of the Ghana Revenue Authority along the Ring Road Central Kwame Nkrumah Circle, leaving the second floor of the VAT house ravaged. So I'm going to quote them briefly. So they say they took the firemen from the Ghana National Service about 6 hours to bring the fire, which started at 7 a.m. under control. They also go on to say that they struggled because the building had ceramic tiles, so it made it difficult for the water to even pass through the kind of material the building was made out of. And then they go on to break down how, this man saw the fire at 6 a.m., an eyewitness at least saw the fire, went to the security guy at GRA. The security guy called the fire service. The fire service didn't show up. They now went to the police station. Policemen called fire service. They showed up 30 minutes later. Then they got there and they also struggled because they needed more resources, and it just goes on and on and on. Elvis, your thoughts on the fire issue at GRA yesterday?
Well, in other countries, emergency services are what they call response time. And if you don't meet that response time, you face punishment. But in Ghana, emergency services don't have any response time. So they come as and when they are available, as and when they are ready. So it means that it needs a serious fixing where we can demand of emergency services that if you are called, in 10 minutes you should be at the scene of the incident if it is this number of kilometers away from you. Look at Ghana Fire Service headquarters and look at GRA, the office that got burnt. On a Sunday, there's no traffic. It shouldn't take fire service more than 5 minutes to be at the scene of the incident. But with what we are ready, it is obvious that they go there very, very late.
But what was the issue? Is it a lack of training, a lack of understanding of
it is the standard. This won't happen in the UK. The first question they will ask is, what time did it take the service to get there? Because they have what they call response time to emergency. So that will be the first measurement.
So we don't have
a response time for emergency services? Country? I have no idea what the response time is. So judging them that they came there late or not, it's neither here nor there, because there is no merit. There is nothing there to measure what time they are supposed to get there. But it's an emergency service, for Christ's sake. And therefore, they must have a response time. It is that response that we can use to judge them whether they are doing their work well or not. Okay? So we need to begin to take critical look at some of these institutions, these agencies, and how they work. In this country, all you need is to give an excuse for your failure. And once you give an excuse, we allow you to go, because we also find a way of blaming other people for your inefficiency. What
about the issue with Ghana Water and the fire service? So they get there now, and then it seems as though they had issues even accessing water from
because there's supposed to be what we call a fire hydrant in key places everywhere in town, so that the fire service doesn't carry water from their office. When they come there, they are supposed to open a fire hydrant and connect to it.
But why is our fire?
The question is, why is the fire hydrant at that place? And who has asked any question about the fire hydrant
because
at the place?
We have some eyewitnesses saying that the fire service people didn't even bother opening the fire hydrant because they didn't believe there will be water in there. That's why they came with their own water.
That. I walk through Accra and I always say there are a lot of buildings that will burn if there's fire, because I walk around and I don't see any fire hydrant around tall buildings and places where people occupy in Accra. And I ask myself, there's fire and there's a fire tank here. Let's assume that it came with full tank. Within a minute or two, that water will finish. So what you do is, there has to be fire hydrant near such places, so they only connect the fire, so the water will be continuous. So if they come and they can't even locate, let's assume that it's even there, but they can't even locate because it is not properly identified. How then do they get the water? So you see, some of these things, as I said, until we begin to put in place standards. If we say there's a fire hydrant, how do you locate a fire hydrant? If they get to a place, what identify the location of a fire hydrant at the place?
They finally located it, but the pressure was also low. So it seems as though if
the pressure is low, do you bring the fire service? They don't put pressure in the water system. Okay, so these are issues as a country. If we say emergency service, these are the issues we need to address. Not to go and buy fire service uniform with condoms in it, and then we don't know where. Nobody has been punished up to today for buying an old uniform that was given to us free, and somebody told that it was sold to us for $1 million, and they found used condoms in their pockets, and up to now nobody get punished.
Yes,
Elvis. Where is the $1 million for that uniform that we later found that it was a free gift?
How do we get to because this is the GRA office. If this had happened in your home or my home, we can say, okay, some insignificant Ghanaian citizens. But
we are not insignificant.
Yes, I know that. But the GRA office, you would think that we won't have these kinds of issues.
When you fail to prepare, you are preparing to fail. So long as we do not put in place what is needed in times of emergency, we will fail. Have you read over the weekend that they say ambulances are parked at Kolebu? Patients are in the ambulances waiting for their turn because there's no bed at Kolebu. Have you read it? Yeah. Yes, because there's no bed. So the ambulance has gone to bring the body, but there's no bed. So the body is lying in the ambulance waiting till it is their turn because there's no bed. This is the kind of systems we have built, and we are not willing to talk about it. We are overly partisan and talking about NDC-NPP. So we should be able to take these issues. This issue should be the one we should even discuss in detail than this referendum. And but we are overly political in this country, and everything we want to consider is politics instead of the things that save our lives as a people. That building, we should be asking when was the last time the electrical wiring was done. Because we have been told that there's a period of time that if you wire your house, you should change all the wiring. Because the systems will definitely break up along the way because they have duration, they have expiry date. Someone should be asking when was the last time that building, the electrical wiring, when was the last time it was replaced? Because I know that building has been there for over 2 decades. That building has been there for a long time. So we need to find out when was the last time that they even changed the electrical wiring in that building. Okay. Somebody must. You see, we need to do the investigation to a point where we can say, even when we cannot say that it started from here, we can say maybe the electrical wiring have not been changed during the time they are supposed to be changed. So probably somebody has been negligent. But we will just do these things, and after that, nobody died, there's nothing, no money is lost, and everything, and then we go. Then it will happen again. Okay. Look at the Foreign Affairs building that got bent. So we should begin to set the critical standards and hold these agencies accountable. That's the only way we can get results. If not, please, more of this will happen and the results will be the same. This is not the first time fire service that got to a place where they can't locate a fire hydrant. This is not the first time they go and they say the water pressure is low. This is not the first time they say we don't have a taller ladder to be able to climb higher buildings. Last year, the Public Accounts Committee, they openly told us that there are many buildings in this country, if there's fire, they will get burned because their ladder can't get there. Okay. Up to now, as a country, what have we done to procure those kind of equipment for them?
Mr. Jantuah, what's the way forward? Because as Elvis said, maybe we don't have the standardization, we are not bothered, but we need to do better. This is 62 years into independence.
The fire at the GRA has exposed the integrity of the building. And if it's any other country, you remember the Grenfell Tower disaster in the UK. Once that happened, 2 things happened. The report came out and they blamed the fire service. 2, they went to all buildings of that nature to check the integrity of the buildings and to find out if there was a similar fire in these buildings, what would happen. 3, the materials that we use to build houses. Who is supposed to make sure we are using non-inflammable material in this country? Is it Standards Board? Do they have standards for it? So such a thing has happened today, and we don't know whether it's sabotage because they said some names came out or not paying that. Well, if it isn't so, and it's an electrical fault, by today, we should be looking through all buildings of that nature.
Yeah.
Even Citi FM here, everybody should be concerned about the integrity of the building.
Why are we to be concerned, though?
If fire steps in, we are sitting here, fire steps in now. Look at the exit door. Look at how narrow the exit door is. The cameramen, everybody would try to push into that door to escape. And we are on, what floor is this? 3rd floor? Some of us will probably have to jump. And if we are jumping, it's the end of our lives. And so there has to be a constant inspection of buildings. In certain parts of the world, they have fire drills, don't they? Yeah. You'll be sitting in your office, the next thing you hear, fire drill going. Everybody has to vacate the building. And there are points where you need to go. So it's just a practice. Citi FM, you do fire drills?
We do.
Okay, then that is good.
Yeah.
Other companies, do they do fire drills? Do we even hear of it? And so, rightly, as Elvis is saying, we need to put the standards in place. Because you see, Dziffa, it's the ordinary man who will suffer. Yeah. It's the ordinary man who will suffer.
Do we hold enough people accountable for these issues?
No.
As far as I called the fire service, they arrived an hour and a half later. Somebody should be held accountable.
Emergency services, police, ambulance, fire, no, we don't hold them accountable.
What does that say about the way we prioritize human life in this country?
We are lackadaisical. We can't really be bothered. If
Why?
there's no money attached to it, we can't be bothered.
But that's a human life.
Yeah, well, do we care? Do we respect human life in this country? Tell me, do we respect human life in this country? When a thief is caught by the people, what do? They put rubber ties around the person's neck and light it up. That person might only have stolen a chicken.
Yeah, but those people on the streets, we can say maybe they are ignorant. But these institutions are led by highly qualified people who know better.
Wait. You say those people on the streets, you say they are ignorant. The fact that the people who are supposed to know better are not doing better, they are also ignorant. They are ignorant of their responsibilities and their duties.
And why aren't we holding them accountable?
Why aren't we? We ask the question, we throw it there, and we even hold them accountable. When a case goes to court today, how long does it take? So the processes and procedures are laxed as you go along the value chain. And we have, for me, these are the most important things we need to do. Not be fighting, okay, the election thing is good. But these things affect the ordinary man. When you go to certain offices today, the kind of materials that have been used to build these offices, a small spark of a match, the whole place would be in flames. And who suffers? Somebody's father, somebody's mother dies. The whole family is in disarray. So
do we have building inspectors in this country like other countries where inspectors come to inspect the integrity of a building regularly?
We used to have it before. Country? What happened? Yeah. We used to have it before. What happened?
So if you don't have building inspectors who will make sure the integrity of the facility exists, and we are in a country we're looking at aloof, how do we expect the buildings to be safe for us to inhabit? We are all living in buildings that we don't know the last time that there was any structural integrity check to make sure that the building is safe for us to inhabit. But we all live in it. So if we are living in a country with this and nobody is concerned...
So where do we start from, Elvis?
Why do we say all we need is to get the regulatory body to be able to do its work?
Dziffa.
If we don't do it, how do we... Look, Dziffa. This fire service, when this country where the market fire, we brought Americans to come and investigate. And the deputy minister told us that they report the national security document. Up to now, we don't even know the cause of the market fires. Yeah. And we are sitting there as a country. We'll be talking NDC MPP.
And we always have
the market will continue to bend.
Yes. And you see, the most important thing for me is that you put the laws in place. But after you put the laws in place, you've got to be able to enforce the law. That is one thing we don't do in this country. We have all the beautiful laws in this country. Maybe we have it. Enforcement becomes a challenge. Why? Okay. Because you try and do it, then, hey, I'm stepping on somebody's toe here. Hey, don't do it here. Yeah. Why? We suffer.
Thank you very much.
Nothing.
Lawyer Jantuah,
former
head of PIAC.
No, you see,
and of course,
Yakasa, we keep going to the same thing. Why?
We'll get there. We have to believe that things
when
will
I'm
get
70,
better.
80 plus.
No, we'll get there before that.
Okay. All right,
and of course, we're also joined by Elvis Darko, who is an editor of The Finder, the editor of The Finder. Good morning. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you.
Hi there. I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share with all of your friends. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.